It can only be attributable to human error.
You're entering paranormal.
He meddled in things that you keep so far. He meddled in things. He meddled in myths.
Where will we go next? It's a phantom from another time.
No one, Mr. Mulder.
That's it, man. Game over, man. Game over.
That is one big pile of shit.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Cryptid Campfire. I'm your host, Eli Watson, and I also have Jasmine with me today, and I'm also joined by a filmmaker and Bigfoot researcher, Mike Familiant. Familiant?
Familant, close enough.
Familiant.
Very good.
Whoa,
Yeah.
all right. Well,
It's good. At least you didn't say family aunt like some people do, so you're all right.
That's way off.
Well, I'm glad to finally get you on the show. This has been in the works for a long time, I guess. I felt bad because we were talking about getting you on the show, and then the show ended for about a year. And then we
Yeah.
came back, and I said, this is the chance. This is the chance to get Mike back on, or Mike on for the first time. So, but I'm
Well,
glad to have you here, man.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited, and I can't wait to get chatting with you.
Yeah. So, are you on season 8 of In the Shadow of Big Red Eye?
I question that myself. I don't believe that to this day, but yes, somehow, some way, I've gotten through 7 seasons, and I'm now filming season 8. Yes.
Wow. So, what's that been like? What inspired you to start it, and what are you looking to accomplish now in your 8th season?
Well, that's a great question. So what got me going in the show? I started the show in 2016, and I was like, I was watching all the shows on TV. I was so into Bigfooting at that time, and I was doing all the expeditions and everything. And I was like, man, all these shows on TV are like, they're not really, they're not showing what Bigfooting's truly about. Like everybody that goes Bigfooting that listens to your show knows what Bigfooting's all about and knows what I'm talking about. Those shows aren't like true to the T of what Bigfooting really is. So I was like, you know what? I'm kind of bored. So I'm going to make my own show, and I'm going to produce it myself. I'm going to edit it myself, so I don't have anybody telling me what I can and can't do. And boom, 8 years later, here we are. It's been an incredible ride. And I'll tell you, the second part of your question, I keep the show going because back in season 2, I think it was season 2, right when the show was really bad. I mean, it was not good back in those days, but I got this message on YouTube from this guy, and he was like, hey, I have this new chronic disease, and I'm never going to be able to get back into the woods again. I used to do what you do all the time. And I just wanted to say, I wanted to thank you because I live vicariously through your videos. And it was at that point, I was like, dang, I'm going to do this for a long time. And that's what keeps me going to this day.
Yeah, that's touching. I mean, it is though. It means a lot to hear that.
It is.
Yeah.
Now, Mike, I have a question. The title of your show, In the Shadow of Big Red Eye, at first listen, someone might not really understand the reference. Like, it doesn't typically sound like a Bigfoot type show, considering it doesn't have the word Bigfoot or Sasquatch or anything like that in it. For those who don't know, can you explain where the title comes from?
Absolutely. Big Red Eye. So I'm in New Jersey. I'm in Northwest New Jersey, and we have a state park here, High Point State Park. Fun fact for you, it's the highest state park in New Jersey. Who would go figure that one? But anyways, we have in 1972, State Park Ranger was doing his night patrol, and he saw 2 pairs of reflecting red eyes. And he wrote that in his report, and somehow the newspaper got a hold of that, and thus the name the next day in the front page of the newspaper, Big Red Eye, was born. So that's Sussex County's little 15-minute claim to fame of Bigfoot.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow. That's interesting. Well, that makes sense because one of the times I met you was at the Whitehall Festival.
Yes. And I'm excited. I'm going to be going back there this year. I'm super stoked for that. You
Right.
going back?
I'm not sure, to
Oh,
be
I hope so.
honest. My year is not as far out as planned as yours is.
Okay,
So,
I gotcha.
uh,
Fair. I do plan out like a long time in advance, so that's fair.
yeah, you sent me this huge list of places you're going to be at. You're calling it a tour of some sorts. Why don't you talk about planning that out?
Yeah. So, okay, perfect example. I'm just doing New Jersey. I just did all of New Jersey today. So, what my tour consists of is what I do like 6 to 8 months prior to a tour. I pick a state. Say I want to go to, oh, I don't know, Florida, right? And 6 months in advance, I'll be like, I'm going to email every library in the area in Florida that I want to go to, and I'll get some feelers out there, see what areas are good that want to, me to talk about Bigfoot. That's what I do during the day as I speak at libraries about Bigfoot. They pay me and fund my way to go look for Bigfoot at night and camp at state parks and national forests and stuff
Mhm.
like that. That's my job. So when it comes to planning these things, I'll kind of, once I get a couple libraries booked, then I'll look for areas to camp in, and I'll pick a centralized location, hopefully at Squatchy, and set up base camp, and then look for witnesses, and then invite people out to come with me if need be, or if there's a room for somebody to come out with me. I always
Hmm.
try to get some people to come out.
Mhm. I've got two questions related to everything you just explained. So, my first one being libraries make sense. Libraries are very open to different speakers with a range of topics coming in to teach people about things. But I also noticed on your Instagram that you recently spoke at something called the Big East Camping and Outdoor Sports Show in New York. And while it is related to the wilderness and hunting and camping and all that kind of stuff, it's not a cryptid centric convention. So I was wondering what it's like to speak about Bigfoot at an event that is not focused on Bigfoot.
Actually, this year, the Big East show, their theme, get this, was Bigfoot. I was the only Bigfoot person there. I was like the celebrity there. So
Okay.
it was awesome because there was a lot of people that came up to my booth, because I have a vending booth set up. I sell, squatchy stuff. You can check my Etsy out if so inclined. It's very cool. But and I was setting up at the booth, and there was a line of people that just were coming in, say, hey, the only reason why I came to the show is to see you.
Oh, wow.
And there was probably 30, 50 families just like that, which is amazing. And then you get the hunters, or the
Hmm.
people that aren't really into Bigfoot, but they're there because of other reasons, because they like to fish, or they like to, camp or whatever. And at the same time, they'll come up and they see my booth and be like, huh, yeah, I guess I'll, I'll tell them the story that I heard tree knocks one year, or something like that. Or they see my display of casts and are like, wow, I saw one like that, back in '87.
Hmm.
So it's kind of
Hmm.
Yeah,
cool.
I just thought it was very interesting because I took a look at that show's Instagram as well, and they had speakers regarding like fishing tactics and wild game cooking and
Yeah.
things like that. And I was like, oh, and then in the middle of that, we've got Bigfoot going on.
Absolutely, yeah. It was cool. When it comes to like vending events and stuff, like Bigfoot events are where it's at. That's where like you meet all the really cool people, the witnesses and stuff like that. But I have come to find out, if you want to make a little bit of money, you go where there's no competition. And that's at these big, outdoor shows, UFO conferences, but that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
That's where the action's at. And you meet
Interesting.
some really interesting different people who never thought about Bigfoot along the way.
Hmm.
Right. Well, speaking of people who never thought about Bigfoot, were you always interested in Sasquatch, or is
Oh Lord, no. Negative. I was always an indoor kid, never into outdoor stuff, never camped anything like this. The thing that got me actually outdoors was my first experience actually Bigfooting, was my first camping experience. But before that, I had never always an indoor kid, and Bigfooting has changed my life 180. Now I'm outside all the time. I camped 129 nights just last year, tent
Mm,
camped looking for Bigfoot. I mean, that's pretty cool. I'm on track for 139 nights this year.
mm,
So
wow. That's yeah, I've pulled some numbers like that myself sometimes.
isn't it fun?
It's intense.
Yeah, it makes you feel like you're going crazy.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. It's like, dang. Would be nice to sleep indoors tonight, but
Yeah, you know what's really fun? I went through 2 air mattresses on my last trip to Florida. That was fun. Yeah,
Oof,
2 holes. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
wow.
expensive. And I lost my cell phone.
Oh,
Three headlamps. It was a very long trip. It was 20 nights, a 20-nighter.
Wow. Oh,
Yeah.
that's brutal.
It
But
was by the end of it, I was ready to come home. That's for sure. I was a walking zombie at that point. I was at the libraries. I'm like, yes, and this is how I got into Bigfooting, and people are just like, "Are you alive?"
well, would you mind telling us and the audience what was your first experience?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was working at a beach resort in Sarasota, Florida, which was by far the best job I've ever had before in my entire life. And at the end of the night, they were like, Finding Bigfoot was on TV. And at the end of it, they're like, you can come out on an expedition with us.
hmm.
And I said, oh my God, that's the coolest thing I've ever heard about. So I signed up that night. I paid the ridiculous amount of money. I mean, we're talking a lot of money. And I got 2 tickets, one for my fiance, whom I did not tell I was taking on this investigation with me, right? It was going to be like a little pre-wedding surprise. So I got the list of equipment that we needed to get, and it had all this stuff on it. And I'm like, how am I going to hide all this stuff? We live in a 1 bedroom apartment. You know what I mean? So I started hiding like the tent, the sleeping bags, the stuff. I was hiding them underneath the Christmas decorations in the patio closet in the 1 bedroom apartment. You know what I mean? Somewhere
That's
she's
funny.
never gonna. So I come home from work one afternoon, and for the life of me, I still can't figure out why, but she decided she'd never done it before. She decided to clean the apartment.
Mm,
So
mm.
she found all this stuff and she's like, Mike, what are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, Hun, we're going to North Florida to look for Bigfoot, right? You know? Um, Not long after that, we broke up. So that
Oh,
happened. Yeah, no. Could have been because of the Bigfoot thing. Probably was.
Oh.
Maybe it wasn't the straw that broke the camel's back, but the straw that broke the Bigfoot's back on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, find out the I did not want to go on this Bigfoot trip anymore. Absolutely not. I was like totally not I was not into it. Find out these tickets are non-refundable. Go figure.
mm.
So now I move up to Tampa. I get a job working on the ambulance for the city of Tampa. I'm an EMT by trade, or was an EMT by trade. And I have 3 partners on the ambulance, and I pick the weirdest partner. That's how I did it. And I said, Jimmy, I gotta go look for Bigfoot. You
I
want
like the
to
phrasing there. I've gotta go.
yeah, there's no other way to put it, if you think about it. And he's like, I've always wanted to do that. And I said, nice, right? So anyways, Torreyes State Park comes in a couple weeks later, central in the Panhandle of Florida. It's really cool. Nothing happens. We go on day hikes, night hikes, talk to investigators, witnesses, really cool stuff, but nothing squatchy happens.
Mm.
We actually found a Florida panther footprint, which is really cool because at the
Mm-hmm.
time there were only like 25 of them left in the wild. This is back in 2011. Anyways, last night Jimmy and I were up just watching a campfire, watching a meteor shower actually, and next to a campfire, and we hear a tree knock.
Mm.
Yeah, didn't think twice about it. I thought it was actually the people that put on the expedition knocking on trees that kind of
Mm-hmm.
hoaxing us because
Mm-hmm.
we didn't have any activity. I didn't know how these things worked.
Mm-hmm.
And then about a minute later, bam, a tree knock from the opposite direction. I'm like, huh, these guys got to be good. They got radios, whatever. So, anyways, about 5 minutes later, you hear it come crashing down through the forest, plunk, and it lands about 5 feet away from us, a fist-sized rock.
Mm.
Now, it was at this point in my life where I said, nope, this is how horror movies start. I am getting out of here. Right. So Jimmy was like, well, if you want to sleep in the car, you're more than. By the time he said that, I had my sleeping bag and I was just, I mean, into the car I go. So, anyways, he comes to the car and he's like, Mike, this is squatchy. Bigfoot knock on trees and they throw rocks. This could be like squatchy activity that we're having. And I'm like, yeah, I suppose so. So back by the campfire, we sit. Over the course of the next 15 minutes, 4 more of these fist-sized rocks come crashing down, landed 5 feet from us.
Mm.
Not cool. First time ever camping, mind you. Anyways, my buddy Jimmy, Great guy, not the brightest bulb in the box. Okay, we're just gonna throw that out there. He said he comes up to me and he's like, Mike, I got an idea. I'm gonna throw a rock back at it.
Oh.
I said, Jimmy, man, I don't think that's a good idea. So he takes a rock and he chucks it back in that direction. And I knew it wasn't a person because at that exact moment, a 15-pound laptop-sized boulder came crashing down,
Oh wow.
landed 5 feet from us. So that was it. That's how I got into Bigfooting. That was
Mhm.
nothing else happened that night. Sleepless night. Next morning, we went up and we asked the neighbors, like, hey, did you guys hear or see anything? Nobody heard or saw anything. And then we wanted to be, this was our first ever like expedition. So we wanted to be all like scientific and stuff. So we started to do measurements and we're like the closest this thing could have been to us was like 75 yards away. So take that how you may. I don't know. I don't know what it was to this day besides what it could have been as a Bigfoot. I don't know what else it could have been.
Well, it's certainly bears are not throwing rocks at you,
No,
and
no.
neither are Florida Panthers. So,
No, yeah. There's three things that can throw rocks that I know of, and that's a person, a primate, or a Bigfoot. I think if there were primates in Torrey State Park, little monkeys running around, we'd probably know about them. And I think you can rule out a person with that 15-pounder coming out of the forest. I mean,
Mhm.
unless Nolan Ryan's there chucking rocks in the middle of Florida wilderness at 4 o'clock in the morning. I don't know.
yeah, right. That's interesting. Man, that's wild.
That's what got me into it.
Mhm.
So then you started searching for it right after that, or what's
Okay, so yeah, after this expedition, Jimmy and I leave this expedition, and we quickly decide on the way home, we're like, something is out there, and we're gonna figure out what it is, right? So we get back home, quickly start, reaching out to researchers and witnesses and stuff like that, and getting the hot spots. After about 3 weeks, we decide that we are now professionals, and we are going to go into the woods and look for Bigfoot by ourselves, right? So we do Colt Creek State Park in Central Florida, which is in the Green Swamp. It's a big hunting preserve. There for one night, and I'm doing Bigfoot calls like it's my job. Like every 2 seconds, I'm doing a Bigfoot call. Anything in the woods would know that there's two idiots running around the woods making these calls, and anything with a brain probably would have got out of the area, right? Makes sense. Anyways, we're walking. He's not scared at all because he's got his 6 foot tall machete and
Oh
his
my.
his 10 million lumen spotlight that he's got, shining around. And all of a sudden it comes across two pairs of eyes. One is like an aqua blue color, and the other is like a fire engine red color.
Hmm.
And we, in our infinite wisdom of everything in the wilderness, we thought it was people.
Oh goodness.
We didn't realize people don't have eye shine, right?
Sure.
So we just start yelling. We're like, "Hey, we're just looking for Bigfoot. Sorry, And no answer, just this dead silence staring back at us. And then the red set turned and looked at the other set, turned and looked back at us, blinked. Nope, out of there. Another nope moment. But Jimmy put a mark in the tree with his machete. We went back the next day, and we did the measurements and stuff, and the eyes were like 7.5 feet off the ground. So I don't know what that could have been. We actually found like what could have been a big handprint that was down by it, but we were so new to Bigfooting, we weren't looking for big hands. We were looking for big feet.
And you said what year was this? 2016?
This is 2011.
Oh,
Back
this is
in the day.
2011. 2016 is when you started your show, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
That's crazy.
Man,
Well,
oh man, the handprints are so fascinating. That's a shame.
Yeah.
It's a shame. Oh well.
so
Yeah,
it's
well,
been
live and
some
learn.
time since then, and so you've been on many more camping trips, as you've explained already.
A
But
couple.
one of the interesting things I noticed on your website when I was like looking at your tour schedule, and I noticed that you're also looking for witnesses to film with on a couple of those stops, one of them being in Ohio, which is where I'm from. We always want
There
to
you
bring it
go.
back to Ohio. But what I thought was really interesting was you have this sort of announcement on the website where you open up these camping trips and these expeditions for free for people to join you. And the catch being that they have to assist you with filming and whatever stop you may be making. But I was really curious for A, how long you've been doing that for, if that's something new you've implemented, and B, how has that worked out so far?
It's semi-new. I started it at the end of last year, and I didn't. I always used to bring my friends out. So when I started bringing the public out, what I used to do was I used to do public expeditions, and I used to bring people out just looking for Bigfoot, and I used to charge them.
Mhm.
And I'm like, man, I had to pay for my first expedition, and I don't like to charge people to do something that they are just getting into or want to do. I don't think that's fair. So I
Mhm.
was like, what, how can we do this without having them pay? And I'm like, well, the best way is to let them help me with my show. Like get the, bring the firewood to camp, get some camp water and, help me at my vending expos and at the library presentations and come on a free Bigfoot expedition. It's a win-win. We get to know each other. I just got off, like I said, a 20-dayer
Mhm.
with 17 of those days was with somebody I met on Facebook 3 weeks prior.
Mm.
So it was amazing, and he's now one of my best friends.
Hmm.
That's so I think I'm just so intrigued because I'm a female. So like the idea of going out into the woods for a long period of time with someone you don't know is just it seems a little bit scary to me. So I'm
Yeah,
just
bring the husband, bring the kid, bring the family. I mean, bring the friends. It's okay. You don't. It's not like I'm not trying to solicit like young people to come into the woods with me. Like,
for
don't
sure.
don't like. What I'm trying to do is trying to let people experience something that they wouldn't experience sitting on their couch every day. And if that
Yeah.
if that means that they don't have to pay to go on a BFRO expedition, then
Mhm.
all they got to do is give me a hand with the show. I think that's a fair trade-off.
Absolutely. And I guess what I'm wondering too is just is having somebody who has no camping, filming, or bigfooting experience with their hands in your show, does that ever become more stressful than it is helpful?
Yeah, it's like when you take somebody fishing for the first time, you know that you're not going to fish too much. You know what I mean? Because you're going to be untangling their wires all the time or their
Hmm.
line all the time. And I get that. But it's also beneficial to bring somebody that's never really been part of it out because you get to teach them your way of doing things. And there's some people that their whole MO of Bigfoot research is to be silent and walk through the woods with no lights on and that you gotta, you gotta do this and this and this. I'm totally not like that. I'm out there to have fun. If you're not having fun, you're not doing something right. If I ever stop having fun looking for Bigfoot, then I gotta stop doing it. So that's my approach to it. If somebody like talks after a Bigfoot call, that's okay. Like, even though everybody's like, "Oh, you're not supposed to because you ruin the audio if you get a call back." Yeah, it's all right. It's not a big deal. I love when I bring families with young kids out. I think
Mm.
that's not only because Bigfoot, we know Bigfoot kind of may be attracted to the young kids, but also just to be able to film them and to put them on my show, have them on YouTube. They can go back to my YouTube and watch their vacation video and
Hmm.
watch their night that they spent with me for the rest of their lives and have that. And that's something that not a lot of people have,
Mm.
A, gone bigfooting, and B, can recreate it and watch it whenever they want to.
Hmm.
And it's not something you get in a BFRO expedition either. So
That's true too. The BFRO is very secretive when it comes to their stuff.
there, yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Your approach sounds very similar to my kind of style of approach is I don't personally think you're gonna go out and find Bigfoot. Bigfoot's gonna come to you.
Yeah.
And so I think, like you said, having children around, because children are always up to weird and strange things that, which one's more entertaining to watch? A bunch of dudes just sitting around a campfire and drinking and having a good time, or a kid
Or
who's
children
eating
running around
dirt,
screaming. Yeah.
It's like,
Sure.
yeah. So I think that is a solid research approach.
Yeah. And, you know, I've never seen a Bigfoot. right? I found evidence of Bigfoot, but I've never seen one, so I can't fully say that they're out there 100%. But, and I'm not discrediting anybody that's seen them, but what I can say is if they're not out there, I am having one dang good time trying to find these guys, let me tell you, right? And that's how you got to do it. That's the only way to look for Bigfoot.
Right. So, how many states have you searched for Bigfoot in?
29.
That's a
Yeah,
lot.
I just and I know that off the top of my head because I just added it up the other day. I was playing Two Truths and a Lie or whatever it's called,
Hmm.
and I was like, oh, I've been to 36 states, and I'm like, crap, was it 36? And I counted up, it was not. So,
Wow, that's incredible.
yeah, Maine to Florida to Michigan, Indiana. I'm on track to do right now on the books. I think 16 states lined up so far this year.
Hmm.
Wow.
So that's a bunch. And I don't think I'm gonna add any more. I don't think I can add any more at this point.
Yeah. Wow. All right. So I'm trying to fill in the gaps here. 2011, you're having these experiences, but then it's still another 5 years before you start the show.
Yeah.
What's going on in that time period?
We're Jimmy and we are pretending that we don't like Bigfoot with all of our friends, because everybody's gonna think we're weird. We're still totally really getting into the topic now. We're like moving into everything is, we got to figure out. We go on so many multiple expeditions looking for these things. I can't tell you how many times we did sick call out of work because Jimmy and I we just wanted to go look for Bigfoot. Um, we probably went out, I'd say upwards of like, oh God, 50 times or so, whether it be day hikes or camping just in those couple years. And then, that's working two full-time jobs and going to paramedic school on top of that. But
Wow.
then when I moved back to Jersey, I really started to shift my focus towards the whole Bigfoot thing. I was still doing EMT work and stuff like that, but it was more so I because you have to understand, I moved down to Florida when I was 22, and that was before I got into anything outdoors. So I didn't respect like North New Jersey and how beautiful the mountains and stuff are here. So when I moved back home, it was like I moved to a whole different world because I got to explore. Now I was able to explore and hike these mountains and see these things. And I didn't realize that Sussex County, New Jersey, where I'm at, we have the highest density, we have the highest number of Bigfoot sightings east of the Mississippi here. So it's
Hmm.
squatchy, which is
Interesting.
amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wow. They say that the topic of Sasquatch, you don't choose it, it chooses you. Is that how you feel?
Yeah, yeah, I gotta say, sometimes I wish it didn't choose me. There are times in my life where I'm like, man, this is a little much. Like after the 10th time you go out and you're really looking for Bigfoot and you don't hear anything, it's like, man, is there really anything out there? Like, what are we really doing this for now? I'm
Mhm.
sure you get that feeling
Oh
sometimes.
yeah.
And then it's that one like tree knock or like little whoop that you get, and it's like, ah, that's why. That's why I do it. I get it now. So it's always that little thing that keeps you going, it
Hmm.
is it is what it is.
Now tell us about this mobile research center.
Okay, so the Bigfoot Mobile Command Center, the BMCC1, 2015 Subaru Outback, right? What I did was I took the complete and entire back seat and trunk out of it, and I made a raised sleeping platform. So that way I get to sleep in the car. I don't have to pay Airbnb fees or anything like that. And then what I did was on the side of it, or on the sides, I put Bigfoot Mobile Command Center really big, and it says like research real big on the sides all over it, right? So that's like if I get pulled over, I could say, hey, I'm just looking for Bigfoot type of thing. Gotten me out of a couple tickets in the past, but I digress. And what that does is it's pretty cool because like once every like, I don't know, maybe week or 2 weeks, I'll be at like 7-Eleven or a gas station or something, and somebody will come up to me and say, hey, I've never told anybody this, but 30 years ago I saw a Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really intriguing and it's interesting. So much so, I was actually, so little funny story. I talk about Bigfoot a lot. Like it is my job and I speak about it every day, multiple times a day. And sometimes, when you work a lot, you kind of don't want to work anymore. You want to take a day off, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, I called up my buddy and I'm like, I'm not going to talk about Bigfoot today. We're going to go play pool and not talk about Bigfoot. My buddy's like, I'm down. Go out to the pool place, shut the door in the car, and I hear from across the parking lot, Bigfoot. And I'm like, oh no. So, anyways, this guy comes up to me and he's like, hey, my grandfather has a Bigfoot cast that he's never shown anybody.
Hmm.
Do you want to see it? And I said, absolutely not. I am off
Oh,
tonight.
no.
We're not doing. No, I said, of course I want to see it. You know what I mean? So a couple weeks goes by and I meet the guy's grandfather, go up to his house, and he has not one, but 70 Bigfoot casts that he's never
70?
shown. 70. Yeah.
Oh my lord.
That he's never shown anybody before. So that begs you to ask the question, how many people are holding on to evidence that they've never shown anybody?
Yeah. That's insane. And it warrants a further conversation if desired, but I want to go back to the car itself. So from the story you just told, it makes it sound like that vehicle is your daily mode of transportation, correct?
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, that's my daily driver. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. If you scroll down on the Instagram, I know you're on that earlier, you could take a look at it.
Mhm.
It's pretty cool.
Oh, no, I watched the 12-minute video tour of the entire
Oh,
car.
so you know what we're talking about. All right,
I
gotcha.
do. And I've got to say, I'm somebody who really appreciates organization and preparation. And that car, everything you did to it, I was just so impressed and I was blown away, and it made me wonder if you're willing to share how much investment did you make on that vehicle? Like, what was the cost to get all of the decals and stickers and extra lights and charging ports and everything like that?
Fun fact, I did everything myself. So it just
Mm.
cost the what the upfront cost to get the supplies was. So
Wow.
that and a lot of time. But when it
Mhm.
comes to graphics, I actually, not a lot of people know this about me, but I guess another fun fact for you about me is I used to make fire trucks for the city of New York, and I used to put the graphics on the side of them.
Interesting.
So that used to be one of my jobs in the past life I had. So I acquired some vinyl equipment, and I knew I had the know-how to do it. So I was like, I'm gonna slap this on and make it look awesome.
Well,
It does
it
look.
does look awesome. So,
Thank you. I appreciate that.
and then it's filled with all kinds of supplies that you
All
would
sorts of
need.
goodies.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
goodies. And I forget exactly, it might have been that video or it might have been a different video, but I heard you say in one of your videos something about how you like have prepared in case someone, if you're out in the wilderness and someone needs help or you hear a call on the radio that someone needs assistance, you'll go out and meet them. And that makes so much sense now considering your paramedic background, like
Mhm.
that you would be able to answer those radio calls and go out to help people if they need it.
Yeah, we always try to, whenever we have the opportunity, try to monitor the local search and rescue channels. I used to be New Jersey Search and Rescue. I worked for them for about a year, and that's why I kind of have background about it. So if there's an active search in the area, we obviously have more than capable tools and equipment readily available that are able to help search for a missing individual in the woods.
Mhm.
So especially at night, we prefer to go at night if there's a night investigate or night search that's going on.
Mhm.
So we'll always offer our assistance if they so choose to need it.
Mhm. So then my next question is, are there any plans for a BMCC2?
Oh, yeah, there is. There is. You know what I want to get? Okay. Nobody steal this idea. If any of your listeners steal this idea, I am going to be a little PO'd. All right. Get this. Full-size bus. Break it up
Oh.
into 3 sections. You got a bedroom, you got a living research quarters, and then the front of it, you got a Bigfoot mobile museum.
Interesting.
Bring that thing to every Bigfoot conference. Oh, come on.
That's an idea.
It is. It is an idea. Wow.
Listen, I can't speak for all of our listeners. So if anybody does steal that idea, that's on you.
You just got to name it the BMCC2 and put big in the shadow Big Red Eye on it. That's all you got to do.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Man, that would be really cool. You would be the first person to have a mobile museum, I think.
Yeah. Makes you think, right? So
Yeah.
now I just got to get a bus.
If you were given $1 million to do Sasquatch research, how would you use it?
Uh-huh. Probably getting a really nice bus. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm-
No, the first thing I would buy is a thermal drone. I think that would be the coolest. I'd probably buy like three of them
Mhm.
because I know them things would get stuck in trees
Mm.
and they'd be gone up there forever. So I'd probably get a healthy pallet full of thermal drones, maybe a case of them. Then I'd probably get like a really nice camper van. That's on my list of things to get. Just something a little bit bigger than the Subaru Outback because
Mhm.
even though that has a ton of space, it's just with all the inventory, I got to bring like since I have like an Etsy, I got to bring all the inventory on the road with me.
Mhm.
So that means like multiple stuff. Like I got to bring all of them with me on every trip because if somebody orders an Etsy, I got only X amount of days to send them off.
Mhm.
So I am very acquainted with local post office all over the country.
Mm.
But that's just one other added thing that the BMCC one really helps with is that, like you said, the organization, the space. That thing's got so much space in it. I could really fit a ton of stuff in it. But you always want more, right?
Mhm.
Hmm. When are you making it all the way out here to California?
Well, I was thinking about that before the podcast. As soon as you happen to buy me a flight ticket, I will be out there, sir. No, in all seriousness, next year or two, I'm trying to get out to the West Coast. I want to do some libraries out there, and I think it's just long overdue for me to get out there. It's just, I
Mhm.
think it's just needed at this point.
Mhm.
So I'll see you soon.
Yeah, squatching on the East Coast and the West Coast are two different
Oh,
two
I can't
different ball
wait.
games.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh,
I feel like you guys have it tougher out there.
why is that?
I guess when I think of the East Coast, and maybe I should know better because I've been out and I've seen the woods out there, but I just feel like there's less of it. I don't know. How
Yeah, I agree. I think, we could take New Jersey for an example. New Jersey is really cool. New Jersey, most densely populated state in the country. We also have the 1.1 million acre Pine Barrens
Mhm.
National Preserve, which is the largest tract of undeveloped land between Maine and Florida. So
oh,
people don't realize that that's in New Jersey. That's also where you know where I'm going with this Jersey Devil sightings. Yes.
Mhm.
Yep, everybody loves talking about the Jersey Devil. But that's something down there. We actually looked for the Jersey Devil last year. Are you guys familiar with Channel 5 News on YouTube?
Mhm.
No, they're okay. Anyway, they're a very popular channel. Kind of they go around. Anyways, we took them out on a Jersey Devil hunt. We acquired goat's blood and we put it on a tree. We mashed it all on a tree
Oh.
and then trail cammed it up. Didn't see anything. We actually got a brick from the original Leeds household, the chimney
Mm.
from the 1970s house. And
Mhm.
we, if the Jersey Devil was a paranormal thing, we were trying to elicit a response by having that out in the woods in the middle of the night. So nothing
Mm.
happened, but it was cool
Mhm.
nonetheless.
Mhm.
you do any Bigfooting out in the Pine Barrens?
Oh, that's yeah. We find Bigfoot footprints in the Pine Barrens, but what's cool is they're not big Bigfoot footprints, they're baby Bigfoot footprints.
Mm.
Right? I think Bigfoot's a biological creature. So as a biological creature, they would have to start out as a baby somehow. So I think when we went down the Pine Barrens, we were about 40 degrees the night before, about a mile and a half in from the closest trailhead and we find 39 of these baby Bigfoot footprints along a riverbank.
Hmm.
And there's no adults there. It's not where you put in a canoe or a kayak or anything like that. It's just, I mean, it was like they were playing. They weren't in any like they weren't walking or anything like that. So it was just very peculiar.
Oh,
Here's my question, and maybe it's silly, but for maybe those wondering as well, how do you distinguish a baby Bigfoot footprint from just a regular human footprint? How big are these baby footprints that you're finding?
Well, that's a very good question. Well, the footprints we found, I don't have them with me. I do have a cast. They're probably about 6.5 inches, 7 inches long, which isn't outside of human range. Obviously, that would put it, a young adult or young, young juvenile human would also make it a young Bigfoot, I think, as well. The way you could distinguish them is you could pick the locations and stuff like this. There was so many miles away. It's 40 degrees the night before, but that doesn't rule out people.
Mhm.
The way we can rule out people is by looking at the footprint itself and doing a little comparison to human footprints, right? And we look for the biological markers that determine a human footprint from a Bigfoot footprint. And even with juveniles, even though they're very, very similar, you could tell the differences, especially with a couple of these tracks, this distinct casts that we have. You could see toe splay. You could see even a small mid-tarsal break, which is interesting because juvenile Bigfoot don't really show the mid-tarsal break that often. So it's cool. It kind of rules out humans, which is what I'm just getting at.
How about the heel? Is the heel wider?
Small. The heel is like very small, which is
Mm,
interesting too. But you can see what's cool about it is it does have a longitudinal arch, which I've
mm.
noticed in juvenile footprints and that I've seen pictures of and have seen other casts of. They do display a longitudinal arch, which is interesting because adult Bigfoot don't display that. So that's really interesting. That's the trait of a human that humans have, but also
Interesting.
attributed to juvenile Bigfoot as well.
Right. And obviously humans don't have a mid-tarsal break, so
Yeah, that thing
that,
just kind of throws everything off.
yeah, right, right. Ah, man, that's interesting. That's cool. So, is that in an episode of your series? I'm sorry, I have not watched every single episode.
You have not watched every 250 episodes? Come
No,
on,
no.
Eli. What are we doing here? My goodness, I'm only a guest on your podcast. Oh, no. Yeah, that is if you search Pine Barrens, there's a couple different episodes that come up, and that one I'm not sure which one it's in, but you'll have to watch them all to see.
Okay. I'll try to link that as well as
Hmm.
your Etsy in the show notes.
Sweet.
So,
Appreciate that.
yeah, of
And then
course.
if anybody, just shadowofredeye.com, that's the go-to to, see where I'm gonna be, where we're looking for witnesses, all that fun jazz.
Yeah. So, when you go to make a show, I'm interested in your creative process behind the show
Oh.
as a fellow documentarian. What's it like? What are you trying to I don't know, not what you're trying to do, but what's your approach to it?
There's no creativeness going on in my head whatsoever at any point in my life.
Mm,
No, I could get a camera crew to follow me around. I could get producer and stuff to make, everybody sound right and sound perfect and stuff like that. I could totally do that if I wanted to. But the whole point is I want the young generation, I want kids to watch my show and be like, "Mom, let's go and make In the Shadow of Big Blue Eyes," or let's make a new show. Let's make another Sasquatch show like Mike did or Mike does. And if I could do that, and people have done that before, and I think that's one of the coolest things because that brings full circle around to my mission statement of getting people outside and off the couch, and that's just it's just a wonderful thing to see.
that is really cool. That's a good man, that's cool. Sorry. Yeah, what's so cool about that is I guess a lot of this community can be very gatekeepy, you know?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and it sounds like you're very open. I mean, even, the BFRO is open to everybody, but they do have a bar for entry, which is how much money you can afford to put into the expedition. And so you just sound like you're making it very accessible to people who might not have those means, right?
I had just gotten an email this morning from somebody. I stayed at an Airbnb at the end of my 20-day Florida trip, and I was telling my Airbnb host about it. I gave him Bigfoot wind chimes and stuff like that. We were just talking about Bigfoot, and I added him to my monthly email mailing list. And I guess he forwarded that to one of his sister's friends or something like that, and she responded back, and she's like, Oh my God, I never thought I would have the opportunity to go out on a Bigfooting. You're making my dream come true. I hope we could do this, please, please. I'll be, you can interview me at any point. And I was like, oh my goodness, like if I could make somebody's dream come true,
Mm-hmm.
that sounds like up here. I'm not up there. I'm nowhere where that is, but that sounds pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What's the most amount of people you've had on one expedition?
That was recently. I was invited down to a meetup with the Florida Bushcraft Group, and they had a lot of people. I led, I think, about 60 people on a night hike.
Goodness.
Yeah, it was like herding sheep, and it was interesting. We ended up hiking out to this fire lookout tower thing that they have, and all the kids did a call over it, which is really cool. It was fun, not the best way to look for Bigfoot, obviously, but not to say that it wasn't fun to see everybody out there with their families doing it.
Mm-hmm. The same thing happens with paranormal investigations too. There's a lot of groups that offer tours and hunts and things like that with large groups of people, which, like you said, is fun. But how much evidence can you really gather when there's so much contamination?
Exactly. Yeah. And that's, it's a win-win-win-lose situation type of thing. It's the best of both worlds, but yet the
Hmm.
worst of both worlds. Like, every people say to me all the time, like, Mike, the best way to look for Bigfoot is just to sit with no electron in the middle of the field and just listen, right? I'm like, it may be, but that makes a really boring show,
Hmm.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, come on. Nobody wants to watch that.
Yeah, yeah, it's fun seeing all the people who never go out in the field have the most opinions about what you should be
Yeah.
doing,
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Yeah.
your friend, Jimmy,
Yeah.
where's he now?
He is a paramedic he's a field training officer for a large paramedic agency in Central Florida.
Hmm.
I just got off the phone with him not too long ago. We're still best friends. We may be doing a little endeavor together. I don't want to speak about it too much,
Hmm.
but I had a little thing today that had to do with casting something and a TV something. And again, I don't want to say too much about anything, but Jimmy was part of that discussion, so it was really cool. He's supposed to be sending me some pictures and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting. Like I said, we're still best friends, so it's all probably because of Bigfooting.
Man, that's
Nice.
rad. Yeah, love that.
That is great though, that connection though, because you met at work, right?
Yeah, yeah, we were both EMTs, yeah. And
Yeah.
Jimmy, he's now into bushcraft. He runs Florida bushcraft. Like he is like he runs people. Like
Mm-hmm.
he was never into outdoor stuff either. Like we both got into this Bigfoot thing together, and
Mm-hmm.
it's amazing. Like now I could rub two sticks together and make fire, and he could make like a fire in the pouring rain and make a spoon out of a stick. Like I mean that kind of stuff. Like you asked us 10 years ago, 12, 15 years ago now what we're going to be doing. We're going to be working on the ambulance for the rest of our lives, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm touring the country looking for Bigfoot. I mean, come on.
I mean, it's a similar path to what Eli is experiencing because Eli, Alex, and I all met working together, and
Hmm.
it was their idea to start this podcast talking about cryptids and Bigfoot, and it has just turned into what it is now with Eli working with small town monsters, and it's
It's
crazy the
incredible.
way that
Yeah.
something so strange can bring so much success and friendship.
And that's what it comes down to. And what I like the most about the whole Bigfoot community is, yes, Eli hit the nail on the head when he said that like there's a lot of different types of people in the Bigfoot community, but I think the people that are alike, and I know you know what I'm talking about. The people that are on the same page when it comes to certain aspects of Bigfooting and get along together and are friendly and are just genuinely nice people. We all need to like stick together and have this community be the heart of it, because that's this is a big thing, and there's a lot of people that are involved in this big community thing, and we just need to be the center of the coolness of it, right?
Mhm.
Because that's
Yeah.
what we are. We're just cool people looking for Bigfoot that all get along with each other and aren't crazy. really too crazy.
Yeah, right. We're all a little crazy, but
I mean, that's why I had to say too crazy. I mean, I'm definitely out there.
oh, I know. I've had some
Oh, thanks. No, I'm just kidding.
oh, sorry, sorry. I mean, well, I'm just relating because last year I went to film a buddy of mine's wedding. I went to elementary school with him and he
Mhm.
got married and I'm the only filmographer he knows, so I went to go and
Nice.
I did a wedding video for him. The only wedding video I've ever done and probably will do, unless another very close friend asks me to do it. But none of these people were into Bigfoot at all, and it's like, some of them had never met me before, and they're asking me what I do for work, and
Yeah.
oh, I look for Bigfoot, and they're like, oh, isn't that fake? Isn't
Yeah,
Bigfoot not
no.
real? Oh,
Mm.
you believe in Bigfoot? He's the glowing red eyes and big sharp claws, and it's like, how
Yes,
do I?
that's exactly it.
Yeah,
Kills people
yeah,
at night, that one. Yeah, that's what
yeah,
I do. That's who I
yeah.
look for, No, do you seem to find you get more people that are interested or weirded out?
More people who are interested, I
Yeah, I
think.
get that too. Absolutely. For
Yeah,
sure. I definitely get the weirded out people, for sure.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
But I think there's more people that are like, wow, that's actually kind of interesting what you
Hmm.
do.
Yeah, they start asking, questions, especially, you and I are united with that these things are biological animals. And once you start explaining some of the things that we've noticed as researchers, about their habits and behaviors that we can kind of guesstimate that they do, and suddenly people are like, "Oh, that doesn't sound so crazy."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like, uh-oh, maybe there is something behind this.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
I always like to see when I'm talking to somebody, like my favorite thing to do is when I'm at these library presentations and hunters would come up to me and they'll be like, oh, I've been hunting for 40 years and I've never seen a Sasquatch. I've never seen the bones. Where are the bones, right?
yeah.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I'll be like, sir or ma'am, you've been hunting for 40 years. How many bear skeletons have you come across? And
Exactly.
their minds are just boom
Mm,
because they've never and they don't crap, there's bear, we know there's bear and there's a ton of them, but you don't find the remains.
no, no, you do not. Man, we'll have to get together at some point. I don't know when I'm going back out east at this point, but
Just let me know, man, and your open invite whenever you're out this way.
yeah. Oh, yeah. So what upcoming events are you going to be at here in the next month?
This next month is going to be really cool because I only have one vending event. I got a 2-week trip to North Carolina. I'm going to be doing a couple libraries near the Uari Mountains in North Carolina, Morrow Mountain State Park, which has been known to have a lot of Bigfoot sightings. I'm so stoked to be there. We have some very special guests that trip, but we're going down there for Encounter Quest, which is Jessica's event. That's going to be a huge event down in Hamlet, North Carolina, and that's going to be coming up here on let's see, April 13th. It's a Saturday. That's in Hamlet, North Carolina. It's gonna be fun. And then I'm off for a little while. And then my big trip, I'm gonna be gone the entire month of May. It's gonna be my longest trip. It's a 27-day trip.
Hmm.
So I don't know how I'm gonna do that. You ever see The Walking Dead? That's what I'm gonna look like after this May trip, I think, coming up. So it'll
Wait,
be fun.
where are you gonna be in May for 27 days?
So I start off in Tennessee for the Smoky Mountain Bigfoot Conference,
Oh, is that in
and
May this year?
May 4th, May the 4th be with you, sir.
Oh,
Well,
Uh,
crap.
you're not going, Eli.
Holy crap. I have to go. All right. Oh no. Now I have to talk to my
You,
boss. Sorry.
but you can't. You can't. You bought tickets for Star Wars.
I can get a refund for tickets for Star Wars. So,
So yeah, Tennessee I start off with, and I have a couple library presentations in Ohio. We're staying in Hocking Hills State Forest, so that's going to be amazing. Never been to Hocking Hills, so I'm super stoked. Got a presentation in Logan, which is great. I love Logan. And then let's see, then we're heading south to Land Between the Lakes in Kentucky. A couple library presentations in Tennessee, one in Bowling Green, Kentucky, which is huge. I'm going to be at the Capitol Theater, have my name in the lights out front. It's really
Mm-hmm.
cool.
Hmm.
Last year we presented to like 200 people. And then from there I'm going to Indiana for a whole bunch of library presentations. That's a week and a half in Indiana. Then heading over to Daniel Benoit's event in the Myths and Legends, Pennsylvania one, and then I'm home. So 27 days of fun tent camping, looking for Bigfoot, and hopefully not getting injured. That's always a plus.
Yeah. Wow.
So we'll see how it goes. I just bought a first aid kit. Fun fact: didn't have a first aid kit in my backpack after all these years.
Interesting.
I just found it out. I just went through my backpack the other day. I'm like, crap, I don't have a first aid kit in here.
Interesting.
How that's gonna go is now that you have a first aid kit, you're gonna get hurt or something, and you're gonna need it.
No,
But-
it's now that I have it, I won't get hurt. I spent the money on it.
Yeah.
Murphy's Law says I'm going to be perfectly fine for the rest of my life. I'm never going to use that thing.
Yeah,
Hopefully. Let's see.
I don't know. For me, it's like, when I didn't have a screen protector on my phone for literally years, and then the first day I get it, I drop my phone and it cracks. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah,
uh,
one of those things.
yeah, so it's like maybe you've been good all this time because you never had a first aid kit. It's like,
Yeah. I'll keep you updated. If I need to use it, I'll let you know.
Yeah, please, yeah.
Call you from the hospital, Eli. The tourniquet worked real well in this first aid kit. Let me tell you.
And how can we keep up to the date on what you're doing, and how can we follow you? And
the best way to follow us is go to the website shadowredeye.com. That's the best way to do it. Follow our social media. We have a rockin' Facebook page, killer Instagram. Jill does that. So if you're trying to slide in the DMs, don't, because it's not me. And let's see, what else do we have? Yeah, the website, Facebook, Instagram. You can find us all there. We have an email list if you want to get on our emailing list. It's like every month you tell you where I'm going to be, if we found any evidence, all that good stuff. Just hop on over to and just any of our social media, send us your email and we'll put you on that. But go over to our YouTube channel and just click that subscribe button. That's all that I ask from anybody. You could go onto our Etsy and buy us firewood and support this that way. That's cool and all that's good. But it's kind of nice because I'm starting to make a tiny bit of money on YouTube. So
Oh.
like any little bit, subscriptions, watch the ads, people, that, will really just help, I appreciate all of your listeners, that have listened to me ramble on for a little bit. Thank you very much. And I appreciate you guys, truly, really appreciate you guys having me on tonight.
Of course. Thanks for being here.
absolutely. Well, thanks for Mike for being on the show. I'm glad that we could finally get you on here. Sorry for keeping you waiting for so long.
Well, it just goes to show, I was that great of a guest that you had to restart your show just to have me back.
Yeah,
What can I
there
say?
you go. This has been the plan. Now the show is over. Kidding.
Oh, Lordy.
Who knows? Maybe we'll have you back someday. It would be cool if we got together and we did something, and then we did like a post show after.
Oh,
Talk
dude,
about
that'd be
what
awesome.
happened.
Yeah. Well, to be able to do that, we definitely have to get together. So send me your schedule. I'll send you mine, and let's try to see if we can link up. All right.
Yeah. Apparently, my Star Wars plans have been thrown out the window. So I gotta make some phone calls now and find out where
Oh,
I'm gonna
boy.
be and when. So, but all right, Mike, I appreciate you. And for all the other listeners out there, we'll see you next time.
Nice to meet you, Mike.
See ya. Nice to meet you.